My name is Lee, 35 years old, divorced with no children. Formerly employed at a securities firm, I now use my past experience to live as a trader. Since my divorce, I've been living in this slightly aged but beloved condo. For a trader like me, weekdays are almost routine. Today, like any other day, I step outside at 3:30 p.m. after the market closes. As I walk out through the well-maintained entrance, I take my usual route, pondering what to have for dinner tonight. That's when I hear an unexpected voice. It's from the beautiful tree-lined path in the large park in front of my place. Slowing my pace, I realize it's unmistakably his voice. "Hey, is that Lee?" It was indeed my ex-husband. I recognize his expression without even looking back. From his tone, I can almost see his sneering, sarcastic face. "What? Lee, the one dumped by you?" "Yeah, the one who has financial difficulties." "Financial difficulties?" I overhear this, but more than anything, I wish I hadn't heard the sickeningly sweet voice that followed. Suddenly, I'm reminded of that day 3 years ago. I stop walking but can't bring myself to turn around. Unconcerned about me, the two of them come around to stand in front of me. They stand there, arms entwined, mockingly facing me. "Seriously, it's Lee. You're still alive, huh? Really, when you disappeared, I thought you might be gone for good. After I left, I didn't think she could survive. No job, in her mid-30s, not young anymore. Ever since she decided to marry me, she's been dependent on me. You're still alive. That's great." The woman imitates crying, mocking me, while the foolish man keeps provoking. Despite their age, they sound like children, and their voices bring back memories I'd rather forget. I met my ex-husband at a mixer in West Hollywood. At that time, I had just broken up with a longtime boyfriend for reasons beyond our control, and I was devastated. Barely managing my job and hardly eating, I was persuaded by friends who believed the best remedy for a broken heart is a good man. So, I was dragged to my first high-end party, the kind frequented by Beverly Hills girls. In this area, fancy parties attended by business executives and people in the entertainment industry are common. The party I was taken to was not that fancy, but a gathering of business people. The girls ranged from working models to ordinary female, but everyone was glamorous, and they looked nothing like ordinary people. I felt out of place in my suit, returning from work, amidst the glamorous crowd. Still nursing a broken heart, I wanted to leave as soon as possible. My ex-husband, however, took an interest in me. Not particularly proactive, I received his daily messages with indifference, but he persisted without being discouraged. Even when I only replied to his messages depending on my mood, my ex-husband never gave up and continued to contact me. He would even ambush me in front of my office, asking me out on dates to cheer me up. Whether I returned directly from client meetings or gave him a cold shoulder, he persistently pursued me. Eventually, he even started waiting in front of my place, having somehow figured out where I lived. In hindsight, it was perfect stalking behavior. But at that time, I wasn't thinking clearly. After 3 months of such relentless pursuit, my weakened state began to change. I thought, despite how I'm treating him, he's doing all this for me. And with that thought, I fell right into my ex-husband's trap. Once he realized my feelings had shifted, he quickly escalated things. He was sweet and kind, pretending to care deeply for me as he tightened his grip. Before I knew it, I was drawn into my ex-husband's world. Dating equals marriage, he implied, and soon enough, we were meeting each other's families. He convinced me to quit my job, saying that once we were married, he would be the one earning for us. Consequently, just a month after accepting him, I found myself in a rushed marriage. Under normal circumstances, I would never have allowed such intrusion into my life. Looking back, it's truly unbelievable. I was just pretending to accept everything, without any will of my own. That's how weak I was after my breakup with my ex. After quitting my job, I had too much time on my hands and gradually began to regain my true self. I, who was once a strong-willed workaholic, became a housewife dependent on my husband. My days were dull, just waiting for my husband. Gradually, I started feeling disconnected from my true self. Once I realized this, I knew I wanted to be an equal partner, not just someone to be protected. I wanted to be strong enough to protect my partner too. I was honest with my ex-husband about my feelings. That's why I want to start working again. It was who I truly was. However, my ex-husband didn't want that for me. Instead, he completely negated me. A woman should just be protected by a man. But... what? You want to earn more than me and show me up? Just because you broke up with a man doesn't mean you should try to take control. When I heard this, I understood clearly. He was proud to have married a career woman from a top brokerage firm, and he enjoyed having the upper hand over her. Despite this, he never really listened to me. He even put a GPS on my phone to restrict my movements. Yet, while I was confined to the house, he started spending less time at home. There were also days when he would come home wearing the same scent as when we first met at those parties. Then one day, he brought a woman home and declared, "Your role is over. From today, I'm living here with her. Just get your stuff out." It was a sudden announcement of divorce. I was too shocked to move, and he yelled at me for being clingy. "It's pitiful, stop it." "She's just slow because she's old," said the sweet-voiced woman, probably in her mid-20s, blinking her eyes and speaking coyly. Despite knowing how selfish it was, I felt oddly resigned to this predictable turn of events. I accepted his words and signed the papers. I tried to pack, but my belongings were so few due to my semi-captive life that they hardly filled a suitcase, which made me bitterly smile. So this was my married life. I thought, when I heard his irritating voice again. "Don't just stand there zoned out because you can't even eat properly." "What?" I didn't understand what he meant. What does he mean I can't eat properly? As I pondered this, he made another unexpected and surprising statement. "You're receiving financial support, right?" "What?" "You've been dependent on me and can't work properly, right?" I recalled he mentioned something similar earlier. Where did he get such information? "No, that's not." "Yeah, I know. You can't do anything. You are controlled by GPS. Don't try to hide behind your false pride." He ranted on. Beside me, a woman continues to smirk. "So, why do you live in such an old place? Isn't this place sketchy?" She must have seen me coming out of the building. She looks up at the old building and laughs exaggeratedly. "Can't help it. Can't get anywhere to rent but a shabby place like this. We're different, aren't we?" The look in her eyes as she looks down on me is filled with nothing but disgust, just like before. Watching these two, I find myself secretly holding back laughter. What am I doing? I confront them coldly. "Really, you know nothing." They must see a different me than the one before. They're clearly confused. I said, "You know nothing." "Huh? You have the nerve to say such embarrassing things without knowing anything about me." My strong tone, laced with laughter, only adds to their confusion. They stare with tense faces, wondering what I'll say next. "Where did you hear I was receiving financial support?" "That's just a rumor." "From where?" "Well, just something you made up to bring me down after we split, right? If you keep saying it, you start believing it's true. Humans are stupid like that." Saying stupid with emphasis, my ex-husband's face turns red to the ears. I feel like hitting myself for ever being married to a man whose triumph is claiming his ex-high-flying stockbroker wife is having financial difficulties. This is the chance. It must be a prank by fate that we met, something we were never supposed to do. Maybe I'll play along. I have no intention of being in the same league as them, but I can't forgive what they've done. If they take the high ground, I'll give it back double. I decide and flip a switch within myself. This condo is a super popular vintage complex. It's home to musicians, artists, and executives. Sometimes celebrities live here too. It's so popular that it was hard even to get in. Their shocked faces look as if they're about to say, "What? They probably don't even know what a vintage is. But they seem to have got the idea that it's expensive. That's probably why he easily took the bait. What? That's just some fancy foreign name. This is just an old, rundown place, right? Like an old public housing project. Stop lying. Huh? You don't know? What? Vintage condominiums are popular and valuable despite their age. Some even increase in value. Places where the kind of people I mentioned earlier struggle to find a favorite to live in. You didn't know that? My patronizing tone must make them feel quite ashamed. My ex-husband's face is visibly red with silence. And hey, you don't seriously think there's public housing in such a popular area, do you? Huh? This is a popular area in the city, with lots of high-end condominiums with tight security, not tower blocks. A quiet residential area close to the downtown. You didn't even know that? Oh! A high-end vintage condo in a quiet residential area, close to all places. You mean you've been wandering around without even knowing that? It's just a joke, right? Thank goodness. I thought my ex-husband was making a scene without any knowledge. That would be so embarrassing. I mean, oh, hi there. The person who happened to walk by in the middle of the conversation was our neighbor, out walking her dog. She greeted us with a beautiful smile, and I took the chance to ignore the two and chatted with her for a few minutes at the roadside. After she left with a polite nod, so, was that a famous actress? And what if she was? You actually know her. I'm a huge fan. Can you take a picture with me? Please? Come to think of it, I remember hearing him say she was his type while watching TV a long time ago. Despite liking such a classy and beautiful actress, my ex-husband was accustomed to attending flashy parties. From what I heard, celebrities and models frequented those parties, but that type of celebrity wouldn't usually set foot in such places. Reflecting on this, I probably appeared fresh and new to my ex-husband, given my unfamiliarity with that world. The woman in front of me also seemed more guy-friendly and demure back then than she does now. So obvious. I'm remembering all this as the woman, now dressed flamboyantly and looking furious, glares at me. Too bad. If you had stayed with me, you might have gotten to know her. Make sure to cherish the woman you chose. I intentionally grinned mockingly with a devilish expression. Even though you're supposedly a model, right? I couldn't stop smiling mockingly at the woman who couldn't hide her frustrated expression. What? Don't be stingy. How the heck are you living in a place like this? What, did you commit a crime or something? Unlike you, I haven't committed any crimes. My comment made my ex-husband frown and start to rage. What? You used to say it all the time. This money is what I earned. You don't deserve a penny. You're locked up in the house anyway, so you don't need clothes or anything, right? If you want them, earn your own money. And on top of that, you barely gave me any living expenses under the excuse that you were hardly ever home, saying a woman should just be protected. But instead of being protected, I was confined and scrimped on. It was the worst, wasn't it? Don't say I confined you. Sounds like economic abuse to me. What? And the daily verbal abuse. That's a violation of the Domestic Violence Prevention Act, right? What? I'm saying you're a criminal. My ex-husband's outburst suddenly quieted down, and he visibly paled. He's really easy to manipulate. That's why I'm grateful to you. Huh? Because you showed up, I was able to leave that abusive jerk. I'm grateful we got close in such a short time. Maybe. What? Did you deliberately overlook our affair to get out of the marriage? Well, you could say that. I cut off all marital relations citing mental health reasons. What? It's true I was mentally shattered by the abuse. No way could I deal with someone like that. It could have really broken me. What? You're the worst. The worst is what you turned me into by pushing me to my limits. That's... And actually, it wasn't all that bad for you, was it? What? Well, if I couldn't let off steam at home, I had to do it outside, right? I knew you were going to parties even after we got married. What? It was obvious. You came home reeking of strong makeup and perfume. Well, a man like you, who can't live without women, would seek everything outside if he can't find it at home. And once you get hooked, you go all out to win them over. You look good by general standards, a corporate elite. Women at those parties fall for your type easily. I figured it was only a matter of time. Thinking back to my former self, I feel sick. I was exactly the type I just described. Even though I was vulnerable, I regret wasting my time like that. I want to scream at my past self. What? So you're saying I was just acting as you expected? Pretty much. What's that supposed to mean? But it worked out, didn't it? You got remarried to that model. It worked out for me too. Thanks to you rarely coming home, I got my mental health back on track, and more importantly, I made a lot of money with all that extra time. What? What do you mean? You didn't notice? I made a lot of money at home. How? Forgot? I was working hard at a securities company. You can't be serious. Yes, I increased it through trading. I was essentially a trader. So, when we got divorced? Right, I had already made millions. What? You never let me work after we got married and confined me, but you didn't care about me. I guess I was just a trophy wife to you, something to show off. So when it came to divorce, I knew you wouldn't bring up splitting assets because of your pride. And that's exactly what happened. Thanks to that, I could afford this vintage condo. My ex-husband just stares at my smiling face, saying thanks. Then, the woman standing beside him, who had been silent, suddenly pointed her finger. Wait, are you married? Oh, you noticed? I answer, smiling, thinking finally. And what's with that sparkly ring? Oh, it's from Harry Winston, it's got a beautiful cut. Harry Winston! He really liked it and insisted it would look perfect on my finger. Oh, that simple ring you have suits you well too. She quickly hides her finger and turns red, looking down. Sorry, I didn't mean to one-up you, it just happens. I was just responding to what was said, playing verbal catch. Then my ex-husband started saying something incomprehensible again. Hey, aren't you being fooled? What? A woman who made millions trading, living in a place like a vintage condo, and a guy comes after her? Are you sure that's okay? You don't need to worry about me. What? I'm just concerned that my ex-wife might be getting scammed. Mind your own business. What? You! The person I remarried is my ex-boyfriend from before I met you. We've been together since college, a connection that can't compare to what I had with you. Plus, he's now an independent businessman and CEO. He doesn't care about my wealth, unlike you. My ex-husband fell silent, realizing my current husband is on a different level. But after a moment of silence, he began to argue again. So, you must be living pretty comfortably, huh? What? You're raking it in as a trader, and your husband is a CEO. Living in a celebrity favorite vintage condo, right? So what? We're connected, after all. Let's be friends, okay? What is this guy talking about? Why on earth would I want to be friends with them? I've already cut ties with my ex-husband. It's crystal clear what he's aiming for. You're just trying to worm your way in, aren't you? What? Trying to snatch away the money you didn't get from the divorce settlement, right? My ex-husband's face turned red with an awkward expression. His intentions being too transparent. Maybe I should just say it then. What? I deliberately didn't claim alimony even though I knew I was entitled to it. What? You're not planning to claim it now, are you? You were the first one to try that, remember? What? To be precise, it's been just 2 years and 9 months since you handed me those divorce papers. What? But it's been over 3 years since you noticed my affair. You were talking about perfume and all that. Then I'll claim my share of the divorce assets from you. I have rights too. Too bad. The statute of limitations for divorce asset division is 2 years. Your rights have already expired. Tough luck. I never imagined I'd see a person shake in reality like this. How much should I claim? I say, and he starts to stammer out a plea. Beside him, the woman yawns with an indifferent look, as if she thinks she's not involved. Hey. What? You're also a target. Huh? It's obvious, isn't it? You had an affair with this man, knowing fully well that he was my spouse. It's only natural you should pay for that. The shaking voices of 2 people were irritating to my ears. No choice then. I decided to drop the biggest bomb to silence them. Hey. What? You seem to be earning quite a lot, doing a good job with your sales. What? Besides modeling, you seem to be working hard in other areas too. My sly grin made her realize something. How do you know that? She whispered, not even attempting to hide her trembling. My husband runs an event company, you know? Sometimes I help out there, and I've seen you there several times. Seems like you're quite good at charming those older gentlemen. The moment I put it into words, the woman turned pale and clammed up. What? What does that mean? Sam, not earning as much anymore? What? No, it's the same. In fact, I'm earning more than before. But your wife seems to be struggling for money? Stop! Just stop! But Sam is asking. Besides, it's about another job, so it's okay to talk about it, right? What? So tell me already. Your wife, she sometimes shows up at events related to my husband's business. Every time, she cozies up with men from the entertainment and advertising industries and disappears somewhere with them. What? Well, it's the same for both of you, isn't it? What? Sam, you're still showing up at parties, right? What? Former colleagues, you know, they kindly keep me updated. Lee's ex-husband, he's remarried, right? Saw him taking a girl home today. What's going on with him? They ask. The space around the 3 of us went silent. As I was pondering what to do next, a familiar voice called out to me from a distance. That's my husband. What? That handsome guy? No way, that car, it's super luxurious. Sorry, but it looks like he finished work early today. I've got to go, my husband is calling. The man stood dumbfounded, and the woman turned red with frustration. They really are 2 of a kind. From behind, as I turned away, I could hear them arguing again. Probably shouting something at me. But to me, they're already a thing of the past. Goodbye, I whispered to myself, moving forward. 2 weeks have passed since then, and we are sitting in a cafe, enjoying tea while looking at the bright sea. There seem to be some changes in those 2, they appear to be separated now. According to my husband, she's about to be a divorcee, still cozying up to older men and even doing paid companionship lately. As for my ex-husband, former colleagues say he keeps bringing women home, asking them, I live alone, why don't we continue drinking at my place? Well, I had heard from you about how awful they were, but they really are a different breed of people. My husband says, savoring the rich aroma of his coffee. The whole thing started with my breakup with Sean, you know. Oh, right. It was so sudden. If I had more time to prepare, I could have gone abroad with him, avoiding all that wasted time. I look intently at my husband, who seems a bit tense. He was the boyfriend I had tearfully broken up with back then. He was a hardworking businessman, always wanting to work overseas since his younger days, and it just happened suddenly back then. As a top-performing stockbroker, I couldn't just abandon my job and go abroad, so I had to choose to part ways with the man I thought I'd spend my life with. I cut him off as he starts to say something. No need for excuses. I know there are things Sean as a single employee couldn't control, so it's nobody's fault, I say with a smile. He exhales relievedly. I can feel the cool, refreshing juice going down my throat, a drink I haven't had in a while. But it's complicated, isn't it? Even though it's someone else's business. It's not completely unrelated to me, though. Well, yes. But it's fine, isn't it? Once it's gotten to that point, it's none of my business anymore, and it's all due to their own actions. You're still so straightforward. They should be thankful I didn't demand alimony. I really thought about it at that time, claiming alimony. But even if I got the money, nothing would change, and just the thought of spending money from such people makes my skin crawl. That's why it's okay, I say, enjoying the taste once again. By the way, why didn't you drink coffee today? Yeah. You used to love the coffee here, didn't you? Yes. My husband looks at me curiously as I pull out a photo from my bag. His hands tremble as he holds it, and his eyes seem to moisten. It's 9th week. Really? Is that our baby in your belly? Yes, that's why I had mixed juice today. Or rather, coffee's off limits for a while. I can't feel the bulge yet, but somehow, I sense the warmth of a new life, making my cheeks relax. You're looking like a mom now. What? Lee, you've got the face of a mom. He says this with a softened face, already resembling a dad. Then I guess we need to find a coffee Lee can drink. What? It's impossible for coffee-loving Lee to give up coffee until she gives birth, right? You're right. Some people change their preferences due to morning sickness and can't drink coffee, but I haven't had any of that. Then I'll start looking for something right away. He immediately took out his phone and, muttering this and that, began searching with a look of enjoyment. I could easily imagine him soon rummaging around for various things for our baby. Which made me smile unintentionally. What are you laughing at? I was just thinking how happy I am. Hearing my words, my husband quickly replied with I'm happy too. When our child is born, our happiness will grow even more. I'm glad I met a future where I can smile. It's undoubtedly thanks to the person in front of me. Thank you. No worries. I want to weave more and more happiness with this joyfully smiling person. Tomorrow, the day after, 10 years from now, even 100 years later. With that thought in mind, I gazed at the photo on the table and wished for it fervently.